survivors, along with a volcanic air helicopter. I want to acknowledge the courageous decision made by first responders and those pilots who in the immediate rescue effort made an incredibly brave decision under extraordinarily dangerous circumstances in an attempt to get people out. As a result of their efforts, a number of people were rescued from the island. However, it is now clear that there were two groups on the island, those who were able to be evacuated and those who were close to the eruption. As police set out last night, the Police Eagle helicopter, rescue helicopter and NZDF aircraft have undertaken a number of aerial reconnaissance flights over the island since the eruption. No signs of life have been seen at any point. I do now want to hand over to Police Superintendent Bruce Bird to share further information and the knowledge that we have to hand this morning.
Thank you, Prime Minister. 47 people went on to the island yesterday. We can now confirm that 5 are deceased, 31 are currently in hospital, a further 8 are still missing, and 3 have been discharged from hospital overnight. Today our focus will be on working with the experts to determine the safety for us to return to the island to look to recover those people that are currently missing. We will be relying on advice coming from a scientific and technical committee in Wellington who are currently meeting at the moment and hope to have further advice on when we may potentially return to the island. But I will reiterate, we will only go to the island when it is safe to do so for our people.
All right, thank you. I do want to acknowledge the enormous and extraordinary work that's gone on through the night to bring as much information as is possible to everyone this morning. At this stage, we can confirm that amongst those currently listed as missing or injured are New Zealanders who were part of the tour operation and tourists from Australia, the United States, the United Kingdom, China and Malaysia. That is to the best of our knowledge. To those who have lost or are missing family and friends, we share in your unfathomable grief at this moment in time and in your sorrow. Your loved ones stood alongside Kiwis who are hosting you here, and we grieve with you and we grieve with them. To our Australian family especially, we'll do everything we can to support you as you have supported us. I have been in regular communication with Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison through yesterday evening and will continue to do so over the course of the day as we're able to provide more information. For now, obviously, our duty is to return loved ones. And as Superintendent Bird has pointed out, obviously there is much more work there to be done. For now, I'd like to hand over to Mayor Judy Turner for local updates and information. Mayor.
Thank you, Prime Minister and Minister Hanari, for responding and coming to Whakatane so immediately when they could. It has meant a great deal to all of us to have her here. I'd like to acknowledge the first responders, and I'm talking about helicopter pilots, the skippers, those others involved in the rescue efforts from White Island Tours, our St John's Ambulance, Coast Guard, District Health Board medical staff, our police, and staff of the national and local emergency management teams, and of course our Whakatane District Council staff. Our hearts at this time go out to those who are injured, missing and deceased, and their families in whānau. And I want to acknowledge both our valued international visitors and local people who have suffered loss in the last 24 hours. And our focus right now is on supporting these people and our broader community visitors. Our community is rallying to support in a number of ways. A welfare refuge has been set up by Te Runga o Ngāti Awa at Te Manuka Tuatahi Marae as a place to share and support one another at this time. Other councils around New Zealand have been incredibly supportive, and I want to thank them very much, including our local councils that are here today. And I also want to recognise there's many community groups in iwi who are currently offering support wherever it is needed. Our community recognises that the situation on Whakaari White Island remains at level 3. There have been 3 eruptions and there is an unpredictable ongoing volcanic activity. And so we're going to continue to work with the police and the District Health Board to ensure the best care for our injured and for an ongoing improvement of accurate information that we can supply to you within public.
Thank you, Judy, and I also acknowledge local MP, the Honourable Anne Tolley, who's been here overnight and with us too. Look, we also have representation through Sarah from a civil defence perspective who are coordinating the work on the ground at this point. I'm now open for questions and we'll make sure that we point those to the most appropriate person.
Just confirm that number that the superintendent may want to confirm. So there's 8 people still missing, and
that's correct.
That's the final number, you believe?
That is the number that we understand at the moment.
And you don't hold any hope that they have survived on the island?
The pilot that went out there and spent about 45 minutes has provided a pretty good indication that we do not believe anybody else has survived that explosion. We also had the Eagle helicopter up there as well for a considerable period of time, and we could detect no signs of life.
And did you see them? Were you able to see the people who were missing from the helicopter during your reconnaissance missions? Have you seen them from the air?
Some people, not all.
Are the families of the missing informed that their loved ones are those ones who are missing?
Yes. The passengers from the cruise line's done a stunning job here in terms of trying to help reconcile and get families here. We're aware that families are already travelling from Australia, and the AFP have advised they will be sending over liaison officers as well to assist us.
Other questions?
Can I just confirm, I know the Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison did say that 24 Australians have been visiting the island. Do we have any idea how many of them are in hospital currently?
That's not something that we've confirmed numbers around. Those individual nationalities currently affected by the explosion, the eruption. Obviously, that's information that the police will be looking to confirm throughout the course of the day and liaising directly with those representatives, particularly, obviously, Australia, have a significant interest.
Do any more of those people in hospital remain in any critical condition, or are they stable?
The status reports that we got yesterday as people came ashore put them at status 1, which was critical. We haven't got any further updates, but no further people have passed since being in hospital.
Those individuals, those who are injured, are being treated in Wellington, Auckland, Middlemore, Tauranga, Waikato, Christchurch, and the hut. We also have injured in Whakatane. That geographical spread is an indication of us using all of the expertise available through the burns units throughout the country to make sure people get the most appropriate critical care. But as Superintendent has said, that obviously there are a number who are in a critical condition, and burns being a dominant injury.
The 8 people still missing, can you confirm whether or not they were from the cruise ship or what tour they were part of? Or?
Not at this stage.
Prime Minister, have the authorities given you any indication how long it could take before they can go onto the island?
We'll be working with the experts. As I said, there's a scientific and technical group that are meeting in Wellington at the moment. We need to be guided by that advice about what the state of the island is, and we will not be moving until we're satisfied that it is safe to go onto the island.
Obviously, those who undertook a rescue effort in the immediate aftermath did so obviously in an incredibly courageous way. Even at that time, of course, it was extremely volatile, as you had GNS and volcanologists say yesterday that in the immediate 24-hour aftermath there were expectations of potential further eruptions. So again, I think all of us would want to acknowledge the efforts they went to ensure that that everyone that could be evacuated was, that all those who at that time obviously were injured, were evacuated, and as has been said, since then, no sign of life.
Is this the end of tourism at White Island?
Look, there's a number of questions that I absolutely expect and anticipate will be asked in that regard, but I think consensus here is that the focus has to be on those at this time who are critically injured and, of course, what is very sadly a recovery operation. Of those questions that people undoubtedly will have, the context would simply provide is that my understanding is that tourism operations have been undertaken there for several decades, up to 30 years. It has been a live volcano throughout that time, at various times has been at level 2, but it is a very unpredictable volcano. There will be questions that will be asked and do need to be answered by the appropriate authorities, and we will be ensuring that that happens. But for now, we're focused on those who are caught up in this horrific event.
Just to clarify, there's nowhere on the island that any potential survivors could have taken shelter in any way?
No.
Can you just talk us through the numbers again? So 31 came off. Is that the correct number? 31.
31 are in hospital.
31 are in hospital.
And how many have been discharged?
Three.
So a total of 34 people came off the island, and 5 deceased.
Add that to the total.
How many people came off the island in helicopters?
I have got that detail, but just not right in front of me.
Yeah.
Prime Minister, what's the role of the Navy, the Defence Forces, around any form of reconnaissance and recovery?
At this point, of course, they're making sure that there's a safe distance that people are maintaining around the perimeter of the island, particularly while it's as volatile as it is. They'll also be assisting with any potential reconnaissance missions or further recovery efforts. So at the moment, an available resource to the police and others.
We heard Australian Federal Police liaison officers will be sent over. What further assistance has been offered by Prime Minister Scott Morrison, and will it be taken up?
The offer of victim identification has been made. Obviously, the New Zealand Police have those expertise at the ready and ready to be deployed as well. So that'll obviously be an issue that between the Federal Police and New Zealand Police, they'll work through that offer of assistance.
How much has the island changed overnight since the survey done this morning? As apparent, obviously, an explosion taking place?
Yes, it's apparent that there has been an explosion. There's quite a considerable amount of ash, as you would expect. But I'm no expert in that, and I'll wait for people to tell me what's actually occurring there.
The ash is obviously significant, and we've had reports of one boat returning with up to half a metre of ash. So the ash fall is significant, obviously, and that will be having an impact.
Can we just talk about the people you believe are still out on land, the 8 people who are not accounted for? Do you know what age groups they are? Do you have any idea?
We do have some idea, but we're not going to be releasing any of that information at this stage here. We are working for the coroner at this point in time, so we'll just go and do our job out on the island when we get the opportunity to get there.
As you can appreciate, obviously wanting to make sure that that families know first, and any detail that may identify before families are informed, you'll understand that the police want to work directly with them.
Do you know how long it took between the first explosion and the first people arriving at hospital?
At hospital?
Yes.
No, I don't, off the top of it.
Any other questions?
Can I just ask me a turn? How important is this operation to this district? 10,000 people a year go out there, is that right? That seems a large number. And to what extent do you think it brings people to Whakatane who might not otherwise come here?
White Island Tours is an absolutely iconic business as part of our tourism, not just for Whakatane but for New Zealand actually, and has been successfully operating under the normal procedures that would be expected of them for 30 years. So I'm sure there will be an immediate impact. The long-term one is yet to be seen.
What was the response time for first responders to get back to the island, or to get off the ground?
Yeah, that was the helicopters, and it was pretty well immediate.
Do you have a time frame that? How long did it take from the eruption happening to helicopters leaving the ground?
Within minutes, I understand.
Can we just double check that number of aircraft that landed, the first responders that landed, was that 3 you said?
The information I have was one Westpac helicopter, 2 private helicopters, and a volcanic air helicopter. So to the best of my current information. There was another helicopter in the vicinity that I understand was unable to land. That's my understanding.
Prime Minister, can you just talk about your role moving forward? Will you be staying here on the ground?
Look, for the immediate future, but of course very mindful this is obviously an active operation. I need to make sure that the police and those with the expertise are obviously the ones doing the job here on the ground. So I'll be here just seeing what additional assistance may be needed. Of course, we have a job to do to make sure that MFAT, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, are working to assist on the ground, particularly with those loved ones who may be coming into New Zealand, and also making sure that people are receiving all of the assistance they need within our health system. So that'll be my immediate focus. But obviously it's over to the police, the operational side.
Considering the amount of ash that's fallen, will there be specialist police teams that when we can get onto the island will go out to try and identify?
They will be our specialist DVI teams, disaster victim identification teams.
Just looking at a statement from the Defence Force from last year, they shifted a 2.4 tonne shipping container to Whakaari to provide shelter in case of an eruption. Do we know whether anyone used that, whether it was working, whether anyone took shelter in it? Do we know anything about that?
No.
I was aware that there was a bunker, but as the superintendent has described, the helicopter pilot, as I understand, physically moved around the island rather than just an aerial survey, and did so for some time, and so brought back that report that unfortunately there was no sign of life. All right, everyone, I'm sure further updates will be provided as available. Thank you for your time.